Oh my god, you guys. I just got my first dollar, and it feels pretty baller. Welcome to a new episode of VIVA JUEGO. Oh my god, so much stuff has happened since the last episode. The last episode. It seems like it was just a couple of days ago, but I actually was developing that particular episode for a few weeks. And just now, which is a couple of days after my birthday, is when I'm putting this episode together. And there have been quite a bit of things that have happened since then. For one, I went to Indiecade up in Culver City in Los Angeles, which was just like... tell you about that a little bit later. But that happened. That was kind of like my personal birthday present to me. I went over there and I worked as a volunteer and I got to see all these great games. But anyway, so what you're looking at now, ignore my voice. What you're looking at now is just like a sped up version. What is this? The second level? This is the second level of the tutorial. And this was kind of the second portion of PewJam. So yeah, I'm just speeding through that. And, you know, occasionally you'll see like other windows and things popping up, like I'm watching YouTube and doing all kinds of things. I'm a multitasker. You can see like the sort of the nebulas that I'm working on here, those had to be redone, like a lot. And most of that was just dithering, and it was a pain in the butt, so I went with something that actually looks a lot better in my personal opinion, but you'll see that developing anyway. But you probably don't just want to watch like 10 minutes of dithering just on their own, so, you know, I thought I'd just talk a little bit over them, because, you know, why not? I really feel bad, because I keep changing up sort of like the format of how these episodes kind of work for you guys, and I feel a little bad about that, but on the other hand, there's like less than 100 of you watching, so you're kind of like my guinea pigs. So that's fun. So what I'm gonna try to do here, I think this might be a good format that works, is do like a time-lapse video of what I'm working on and just kind of ramble over it, and you can hear a lot of funny stories and get to know me better, I guess. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit about Indiecade. I completely forgot what I'm going to say. It's fine, because I can actually just cut this up, and then it sounds like I'm saying something super intelligent, and, you know, like I'm actually a funny person. Indiecade, that's what I want to talk about. So I went to Indiecade to volunteer, and the first day was just, like, literally the worst day, I've ever had. Probably not the worst day I've ever had. Okay, so I get off the bus or whatever. I just rode the bus to Culver City, which took forever, and, you know, my ass was like completely numb. And I get off the bus and I get into like a taxi, right? I'm like, oh, take me to this hotel, right? You know, I give the guy the address verbally, right? Because I just memorized it. I had printouts of everything. You're gonna see why this turns to shit in a second, because like he drives me. Apparently there's this boulevard, I guess, that runs through Los Angeles called Sepulveda, right? And like, take me to the hotel. This hotel on Sepulveda. And he takes me to another hotel that's on Sepulveda, but apparently Sepulveda is one of the longest, like, roads in the city. So he literally took me to the other side of the city. And then I was like, oh, this is not where we're supposed to be. He's like, well, do you have the address? He had like a weird accent. I was like half Russian, half Spanish. I tried like, you know, like cursing in Spanish a little bit to see if like he was Mexican, but he didn't respond. So I'm still kind of ambivalent about that. Anyway, he's like, oh, you know, this is not your hotel, give me the address. And I say, okay, I'll give you the address. And then I'm like digging through all of my paperwork and the address isn't there. And at this point I'm freaking out, right? I don't have like internet on my cell phone because I'm broke. So I had to call up a family member and have them Google map the address and give me the address, and it was just like so terrifying because this guy's just like parked in a parking lot waiting for me to give the address. He's doing that sigh thing, you know, he's like you know, like that, like, oh, I hate that. And so he's doing that, and I'm just sitting in the back of the taxi like, oh god, please just give me the address, I swear to you. And so the family member that's looking up the address is like, okay, you said on Sepulveda, and I'm like, dude, I need the Best Western on Sepulveda. And the family's like, oh, the Ramada on Sepulveda? Did you mean the Sheraton on Sepulveda? You know, did you mean the Hilton on Sepulveda? I'm like, what are you, Google autocorrect? No. I finally get to my hotel, and at this point I've paid the taxi driver almost twice. No, probably like 4 times what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting taxi rates to be that expensive. I mean, I don't really take cabs. I take like public transportation everywhere. But public transportation comes with its own benefits. I'll talk about that later. I get to the hotel. I'm like, alright, fuck it, I'm here. I'm relaxed. You know, it's cool. So I chill out a little bit. You know, I get settled in. My roommate, I was splitting with a roommate. She was a lot of fun. Well, she had arrived, her stuff was there, but she wasn't in the area. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna go down to the festival, right? Like, it must be going on. Because on the festival website, it says that the festival runs from this day to this day. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, alright, I'll go check it out. So I walk about maybe like 5 blocks to get to the bus stop. I'm like, public transportation, this is my thing, I know how to do this. I have my cash in hand, I'm ready to go. So I'm sitting, I feel so stupid. I'm sitting on the street corner and the bus comes by, right? It's been a while. I'm like, oh, you know, it's a little bit late. I see the bus coming. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. You know, I thought I'd missed it. And they only come once every hour. So I'm looking down, I pull out my wallet, right? And, you know, I'm shuffling through to get my cash out. I look up, the bus just drove right by me, you know? And I'm like, oh my god! Yeah, and okay, and then I'm like just sitting there like an idiot a little bit, like what the fuck just happened? That was my bus. And I look up at the bus stop sign, the corner that I was standing on, was the bus would be coming in the opposite direction. So I was just literally across the street from the bus that was going down that way. And of course, when a bus drives by, it doesn't see anybody at a bus stop, it just keeps going. So, you know, at this point I'm just like shitting myself. Like, I can't believe this. I don't know, I was kind of delirious. I just started just chasing after the bus, you know, like as though I could actually catch up with it. I don't know if you know this, but I get tired very quickly because being a game designer, it's not a very active career choice. So I just run out of breath immediately. And so then I'm just like sitting there, I'm like, oh my god. I look down at my map. I have a little printout map of like how to get there. I'm like, alright, fuck it, I'll just walk. You know, it shouldn't take that long. It took me like an hour and a half to get down there. Like, a lot of shit was going on. And I saw a lot of funny things too. There was a photo, I took a photo, and it was called Crappy Apartments. I shit you not, this was a real thing. Oh, I also saw a Blockbuster, you know, like, hey, look, a unicorn. I get down there, it's the sun's about to set, and I'm looking at everyone packing up, and I'm like, what's going on? They're like, oh yeah, the festival isn't until Saturday. Right now it's just like the conference stuff, and I'm like, oh, the conference stuff? I guess I'll check that out. And they're like, oh no, that's over with. That ended about half an hour ago. Okay, so at this point I start crying. Like, just, you know, crying, in public, in the middle of the street. I've never been so miserable in my life. You know, I missed my bus, I lost about a third of my money, and, you know, I'm like, oh, I have to take a bus back to my hotel. It's gonna be another hour until I get there, and it have to cost me more money, and I'm just absolutely miserable. I can't even tell you how miserable I felt. That I just fucked everything up. And this is when things just start to get a little bit interesting. It's probably the funniest part of my day. So in the area, there was like a little tent of like, like a tent of like chocolate. I think it was Godiva. And they were just having like some kind of they were giving away samples or whatever. And I'm just sitting on the street corner, right, crying, right? And like this super gorgeous guy walks up to me. I mean, like, he is totes gorge. Like, they all were. All the salesmen were like attractive. I don't think that was a mistake, you know? I think that was pretty deliberate. So he comes up to me, he's like, excuse me, miss. You know, like every stereotype you'd ever seen. I'm crying there, I'm fat, I'm sweaty, you know? I'm just like, I'm terrible. He's like, would you like some chocolate? And I look at the guy, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Chocolate is the only thing that would make my life joyful at this moment, you know? So I go out there and I go up to the booth and they're giving away samples. And even though I really want some chocolate, I can't help but have this feeling of sort of like dread, because I'm like, oh, they're gonna try and sell me something. But, you know, I was like, whatever, you know, maybe the guy's just trying to be nice, because, you know, I'm just a miserable girl and I need some chocolate, you know? But no, I I get my chocolate sample. It's like a really, really nice Godiva chocolate truffle. And I'm eating it, and the guy's, I'm crying, and the guy's trying to sell me like a 6-pack of Godiva chocolate truffles for $16.99. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And he's like, yeah, today we're having a special, I don't know if you know, but there's free shipping. And I'm like, there's tears streaming down my cheeks, and I'm just like, eating my chocolate, just looking at him. I can't believe that this is happening to me. I just kind of like, oh yeah, I guess, or whatever. And I was like actually thankful that I had left my credit card at home at the hotel that day, because then I was like, oh, I don't have my credit card. You know, I'm sorry, I can't really help you out. And he's like, oh, well, do you have anyone at the hotel? And I was yeah, I have someone at the hotel. Well, they can take a photograph of the credit card, and, you know, they can text it to you, and then you can use that information to buy. Like, this guy was really desperate to sell some chocolate. I don't know what it was. Maybe he was just handsome, and that's why I went along with it. So, what I did, I feel so bad, but, you know what, he's probably never gonna see this. I called my best friend, who's nowhere near Los Angeles, by the way. I call her up, thinking I'm just gonna get, like, a message, you know, the voicemail. I'll just pretend that, oh, you know, I called her, but she didn't really pick up, you know? But I call her, and she picks up, and she's like, hello? And I'm like, oh, I was like, and then I just, like, she was talking to me, but I couldn't respond, because the guy was there. I was like, I had to give that face that, like, I'm just getting the answering machine. And I had to do it twice to be like, oh, you know, but I really want these chocolates. So later on, as I'm, like, going back to the bus station, I left the chocolate thing. I didn't have to buy one, thank God. And I feel bad, because the guy was really, really hot. And, you know, it was weird. This was something so funny, because as I was eating the chocolate, he's like, oh, don't cry. You're too short to be sad. You said that to me. I kid you not. I was like, I guess you had to be there. So I head back to the bus station, and I'm sitting there. The sun is set at this point. All right, it's dark, and it's freaking cold. I can't remember what I was wearing, but it wasn't really that protective against cold weather. Again, because I didn't really expect I'd be out this late. I didn't expect to be as miserable as I would be. So I'm sitting there waiting on the bus station, and I'm like, it's an hour goes by, right? And I look up, you guys, I just can't believe it. I look up, and I made the exact same mistake that I had made that afternoon when I first got on the bus. I was on the wrong freaking street corner, and I missed the bus again. So I'm like, I'm crying again at this point. Like, the chocolate thing cheered me up a little. No, I'm just crying again now. I run across the street, okay, and I look at the bus stand. I'm like, oh no, this is terrible. And then I look up, and there's a sign on it that says, you know, due to the government shutdown, all of these buses have been canceled until further notice. And it literally, they had just canceled, like, the day before I had showed up. And so then I stop crying, and then I start laughing hysterically. It's night, it's maybe about 10 o'clock at night. Then I, like, call a taxi. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just go back to my hotel. I call the taxi cab guy. I've got $12 in cash. And I'm like, listen, just get me as far as you can. I don't care about the rest of it. And the poor guy, like, he knew. He clearly saw how horrible I was feeling right now. He's like, it's okay. I take you the rest of the way. He had the same accent, by the way. Completely different guy. Same undistinguishable, half, like, Mexican-Russian accent. I don't know what it is with the taxi drivers in the city. Anyway, he takes me to my hotel. I come in. I collapse. I feel absolutely miserable, right? And so I'm just lying there. Suddenly, my roommate comes in, and she's like, you won't believe the fucking worst day I've ever had in my life. I had to walk an hour down to volunteer, and then just, like, things just got instantly better. Anyway, that was sort of my first day at Indiecade, but I promise you it gets way better after that. But that was probably the most interesting experience I'd had in a while, and I just wanted to share that with you. So you can hear that I've finished up the second portion of the tutorial, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in our next episode. And I think the next episode I'll be doing UI and stuff, yeah. And I'll keep telling you about Indiecade probably during that point. Alright, so thanks for tuning into this episode, and we'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that wonderful YouTube bullshit. Bye!